start. If you're visiting Bryce Canyon National Park, here are 5 things that you need to know before you go. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I'm also a Utah native, so you will find me in Bryce Canyon National Park any chance I can get. I cannot wait to help you plan your trip to Bryce Canyon, so let's talk about the 5 things you need to know before you go. The first thing, Bryce Canyon has extremely limited parking. So did you know that there is only 1 parking spot for every 4 cars that enter Bryce Canyon National Park? That's pretty bad. And it can get really congested. It can be very difficult to get in there and to get out and see what you want to see. And so it's really important that you make a good plan so that you're not fighting for parking your whole trip. The timing is everything in this park. It really matters when you try to go through the entrance stations, when you're trying to find parking at the busy spots. It matters when you're trying to drive from place to place. And although this is a relatively small national park, it does get very congested. And so you'll want to be sure that you're planning out your schedule so that it makes the most sense when you're trying to get to all of these really small parking lots. What's nice about Bryce Canyon is that they do run a free park shuttle, and so that's great because you can either stay at your lodging within the park or just right outside of the park and catch the shuttle from there to get around to the main amphitheater area, which is where most of those beautiful viewpoints are. So the shuttle does help, and that is really nice to have. However, there are still some areas that you'll need to drive your own car. You may just want your own car if you're planning on being out for the whole day. And so there will be some instances where that shuttle may not be as helpful for you. You will find a ton of Bryce Canyon trip planning information on Dirt in My Shoes. I also have a fully planned out trip itinerary. So if you need help navigating through these crowds or you're wanting to know how to better utilize the shuttle, then get a fully planned out trip itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes. Number 2, Bryce Canyon National Park is fabulous year-round. So a lot of national parks kind of close down for a season, and Bryce Canyon does that a little bit, but for the most part, you can visit this park year-round and find something really amazing to do. So Memorial Day through Labor Day is the high season in Bryce Canyon. That's when you're going to have most of the crowds, and that's when you're going to see the most people. There are a few things that are open during these summer months that are not open the rest of the year. Most notably the Wall Street hike, which a lot of people want to do. That one does close down during the winter because it becomes unsafe with the snow. So if that's on your bucket list, then you will want to plan a trip during the summer season, probably, so that you can hike that, summer or fall, actually. But otherwise, you can hike here all year round, and it's really cool because you can get down into the amphitheater. You can see all of those hoodoos covered in snow. It is just phenomenal. It is so beautiful. If you're coming during the off season or the winter, then you will probably need some type of traction devices on your feet. Sometimes there's not enough snow to go snowshoeing down into the amphitheater, but you can rent yak tracks, which are basically little spikes for your shoes that will help you immensely as you're hiking around. This is one of my absolute favorite things to do in Bryce Canyon. I love hiking the amphitheater in the winter. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's so magical with all the snow, and it's just a really cool experience you can have in this park. You'll want to note that the in-park lodge and restaurant does close during the off-season, but the visitor center stays open, the North Campground stays open. They try to keep the roads open as best they can, and they do a really good job with it. The roads do typically stay open unless there's just a massive snowstorm that comes through, but they're usually even pretty fast at clearing those roads for you too. So it's really nice that you can go almost any time of year. It does get really cold there in the off season. You're at over 9,000 feet above sea level. And so it gets cold, it gets snowy, but it is beautiful. And they have a winter festival. They have all sorts of stuff you can do in the off season. So I definitely recommend maybe for your first visit going during the main season when everything is open. But strongly consider coming back in the winter months to experience this park in a different way. Number 3, book your lodging in advance. There are not a ton of options in Bryce Canyon National Park. It's a pretty small national park. And what is available in the national park does get snatched up very quickly. So what you have is you have one lodge. This lodge is near Sunrise Point, and so it's really perfectly placed for getting out to the amphitheater, seeing all those gorgeous views. You can walk along the rim trail right from there, and so you really are just right there on the edge so that you can enjoy the sunsets, enjoy the sunrises, go out and explore when the park is a little bit quieter, when people have left for the day. And so I do really like staying in this lodge. Your lodging reservations open up 13 months in advance. So if you are wanting to get a room in Bryce Canyon National Park, you'll need to do so well in advance. They do fill up quite quickly. Bryce Canyon does have 2 in-park campgrounds, and so that's really nice. One is first come, first serve, one is reservation only, and so you'll definitely want to plan ahead as best as you can. Typically, those reservations are made 6 months in advance for the campgrounds, but because one of them is first come, first serve, then you'll just need to plan accordingly to get to the park early enough so that you can snatch up one of those sites. What's nice about Bryce Canyon is that you do have a decent amount of options just right outside of the park in Bryce Canyon City. So you will find some lodging options there, some hotels that are perfectly placed for just getting into the park real quick. You'll also find some Airbnb options in some of the nearby towns, such as Tropic. If you want to go out to Panguitch, you can. I typically don't recommend people go out to Panguitch just because it's a little further away, but if you need to, that's just fine. You'll just have a little bit of extra driving there. If you're not able to get camping in the national park, there are some good boondocking spots just right outside. You've also got Red Canyon, which has a really nice campground that's just about 10 to 15 minutes away from Bryce Canyon. You've also got like Kodachrome, another half an hour the other direction where you can camp. So you do have some good options in the surrounding area if you're not able to book far enough in advance to get in the national park. Number 4, the weather at Bryce Canyon is unpredictable. This affects you because it doesn't really matter when you go to the park, you're still going to be encountering maybe some pretty crazy weather. So let's talk about some of the things that you might see. Typically during the summer, what you'll deal with is thunderstorms. And these big thunderstorms roll through typically during the afternoon hours of the summer months. And it can be extremely deadly to be on the rim, to be out exploring during these thunderstorms. Lightning is a huge concern in this national park. So you'll definitely want to get indoors as quickly as you possibly can when one of these thunderstorms roll through. So do keep that in mind. The other thing is the snow. So if you're coming even in the shoulder season and for sure in the off season, during the winter, you will probably encounter some snow. And the snow can come, pretty early in the fall. It's not unheard of to have snow in September or October sometimes. And also, I've been there in May around Memorial Day and we've gotten snowed on. So you're at 9,100 feet above sea level, and that's going to make the weather a little bit crazier as far as, planning for your day and knowing what to expect. So I definitely recommend always bringing layers, making sure that you have things you can put on and take off as the temperatures change, and just keep an eye on the weather as you're out exploring so that you can get to safety if there's a problem or so that you can be well prepared for your adventures. And the last thing you'll want to know before visiting Bryce Canyon National Park is that this park is famous for its night sky. You will not see better stars anywhere than you will at Bryce Canyon. And so I definitely recommend planning in some time to stay out in the evenings and to make sure that you can do a little bit of stargazing. The visibility from Bryce Canyon is just incredible due to its rural location, its high elevation, there's thin air. You can see so much from here. You can see the Milky Way, you can see the Andromeda Galaxy. There are a lot of ranger programs that revolve around the night sky in Bryce Canyon, and so a lot of times you can catch one of those in the evenings. They'll oftentimes get out the telescopes so you can look at things, and so that's really fun. They also host a full astronomy festival every summer. So if you're really hoping to see the night sky, it definitely is worth taking a look at the calendar, seeing when the full moon is, and maybe planning your trip around that a little bit, because you can see so many stars if there's not a full moon. So if that matters to you, definitely keep that in mind. And check the Bryce Canyon website for their astronomy programs, because those are 100% worth any time that you can give to them. Okay, so there's the 5 things you need to know before visiting Bryce Canyon. I cannot wait for you to visit this amazing national park, and I have a ton of trip planning help for you if you need help getting started with your preparations. So be sure to click on over to dirtinmyshoes.com. You will find a lot of trip planning information for Bryce Canyon, including how to get there, how many days to spend, when the best times to visit are, and then all of the activities that you definitely don't want to miss. So if you need any help with your trip planning, be sure to click on over to Dirt in My Shoes, and I absolutely can't wait for you to go on this vacation. I hope that you're able to get out and explore, do some good hiking, see some beautiful views as you visit Bryce Canyon National Park. Happy trails!